Every 2 or 3 years, I go on the hunt for the next best, latest, greatest monitor, hoping to find something that'll finally put my CRT to rest, where it can be what it should be, a memorable, nostalgic artifact of times gone by, instead of something I actually wish I could play with. Now, word on the street, OLED was it. Okay, so you best believe when that pre-order button came up, I pre-ordered it, not just to get the $200 fancy mouse pad, which I'm going to review later, but because I thought maybe the search was over. Unfortunately, it was it's about the same experience as watching Signs, the end of Signs. Don't get me wrong, I love M. Night. And Signs was magnificent. It was one of the most amazing psychological science fiction philosophical thrillers ever. Till the end. Little spoiler alert, the aliens invading our planet were defeated by water. That's right, folks. That's right, they have a spacecraft that can do infinite calculations and travel across galaxies and do numerous unimaginable things so technologically advanced it makes us look like us compared to cavemen. And yet, not one instrument, not one little beep on the spaceship, not one of these motherfuckers saw that our planet is 71% water. And that's what this monitor feels like. Let me explain. The primary thing to remember is that the thing cost $1,000. Now first, what is it? It's a WOLED, WOLED monitor. It's 240 hertz, 27 inches, and has an incredible response time as all OLED does. But it is not a QD OLED, which is what the Alienware is, which is in my living room. QD OLEDs are supposed to be better than WOLEDs, but they don't go up to 240 hertz as of now. But supposedly they have brighter colors. They also allow for a higher max brightness. And that one's 34 inches with a glossy panel. Life's good. I've had it for a couple weeks now, and I'm gonna tell you that I have the same feeling when I play on it now that I did then. That it is fucking gorgeous. The blacks are unreal. I mean, when I first turned it on, I was in awe of the vibrancy, the contrast, the crispness, the sharpness, whatever word you want to use. It was amazing. I can tell immediately the level of crispness is vastly different. Honestly, it's fucking unreal, and it's the best visual image I've ever seen on a gaming monitor. It's absolutely breathtaking. There's zero backlight bleed, the clarity's incredible, it's unparalleled. It actually allows you to distinguish enemies potentially from further away. It looks like you're really there. It looks 3D. I had to throw this update in before I hit the publish button. I was streaming, and shout out to Gen 3D Tech, because he said, hey, have you tried it with the HDMI 2.1 cable? And I thought, why would anybody do that? Well, you do that because HDMI 2.1 has 48 gigabytes of bandwidth, whereas 1.4 DisplayPort only has 32.4. What you're seeing here is the graphical difference that I captured to the best of my ability. It's even better in person, and 12-bit HDMI 2.1 is fucking sick. The response time is utterly insane. I'm basically seeing zero ghosting here, which is fucking nuts. That is fucking nuts. That is clear as day. Now that's in CRT land. That might be bordering CRT land. It's kind of some magical ass shit. If you middle click the scroll wheel and move down, you know, scrolling down on a web page, you can still read that shit. Build quality wise, feels great. Stand is fantastic. Has all the movements you would want. So you can go all the way down here, all the way up to there, which is very, very high, this amount of space to have, which really gives you some more flexibility on being able to sit and not have to, you know, lean in or lean out. Let's see, tilt-wise, got that, tilts down. But what's really cool is you can actually do some shit where you can go this way. And that is kind of fucking Zorz, actually. I mean, that's pretty sick, dude. Wouldn't that be cool if there was just like a bunch of these and it was like all a fish tank? Anyways, it seems sturdier than it might look with the two little legs. Not going anywhere. It has enough ports for anything that I can imagine. It has two USB ports, an optical port for a sound bar. It has ports for your headset if you want to do that. It has an HDMI 2.1 and a display port. Everything you need. It has HDMI 2.1 support, which allows you, if you want, to get 240 Hz at native resolution 1440 through the HDMI port. The remote is fantastic. The settings on the monitor are great. It's easy to use menus. Other than the fact that you can't turn DAS, Dynamic Accuracy Sync, off manually. When DAS mode is on, what that is called Dynamic Action Sync. What it does is it allows you to instantly react to your opponents and attack them without any display lag. Now, I've been researching that a little bit, and it basically does actually work in reducing input lag. And as I was scrolling through these settings here, I'm like, where is the setting to turn it off? Well, I couldn't find one, nor is it in the manual. So what you do is, see, all these modes have it on, but as soon as you get to vivid, DOS mode is off. And yeah, then all these DOS modes off, 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 off. Then we go back to Gamer 1, and it's DOS boot. DOS mode back on. Now this is quite a nifty little gadget. The middle button here will bring up the main screen where you can see if you have, what hertz, if you have adaptive sync, G-Sync, HDR, and DOS mode. And then you can have reader. Reader's intended to help you if you want to read, but, nobody reads anymore, so nobody cares about that. And you can do it, you can calibrate it yourself. You can add a crosshair, which is called cheating. Fucking hackers. Pretty low life. And then you have a freaking crosshair. You can see that. That's called hacks, and you're a bad person. I've actually never used it, but I kind of want to use it. I feel guilt. Does anyone else feel guilt? I've never used this feature on any monitor ever. Remember back in the day? I literally taped something to the center of my monitor back in the op days, Counter-Strike days. Literally put a piece of tape on the center of the monitor so I could no scope. FPS counter, and then you can reset it. Picture adjust, you got brightness, contrast. Some of these can or cannot be adjusted based on what else is going on. So if you're in FPS, you can do brightness and contrast. It depends. So you can change to all these different colors and you can feel really cool. Let's do that color. Kind of looks like Zorz. Sound, you have the optical jack and the HP out. If you get the HP out, if you're wearing headphones, you can plug headphones in, you can go here and you can change the settings for the headphone usage. This one turns on reader. So it will literally go directly to reader. If you're just like, God damn it, I have to read right now. Now when you want to switch back, you hit this and it brings up the different options, which is just actually Gamer 1, Gamer 2, FPS, and RTS. This is where you get the lighting, this button here. Then here is for OLED care, this one here. And it's very well done. DTS for headset, function not available because I don't have anything plugged in. And then here is also the speaker system, which I'm also not using. HP and optical jack. Here's the volume, if I was, and then the brightness. And this is for your input. If you have an HDMI, if you want to switch it, so you can switch it. And that's pretty much it. I really here's a black stabilizer, by the way. It lets you do a little more cheating. And I really like it. I really like the way this is set up. It says in the manual, if you lose this, you're just fucked. It literally says that. I couldn't believe it. I was kind of offended. It doesn't really say that. It's officially G-Sync compatible with the G-Sync module. It goes up to 12-bit color. Now, I didn't see as much of a difference going from 10 to 12 as I did from 8 to 10, which was enormous, by the way. But still, it offers that. The viewing angles are like entirely on another level. I can look at it from like a 90-degree angle, like if I'm on baseline shooting a three-pointer and I can see the thing perfectly. The text is fine for me. I have no problem reading the text. I know some people do, and if you do, you can use ClearType in Windows. I didn't have a problem with it. The HDR mode is done very well. It really does give you that vibrance, and it increases the brightness as well. HDR is not something I'm really used to. I've never really used it before.
And what it seems to me like it does is kind of just enhances the colors. It's like adding color. It's like adding a more vibrant color to the game. So it's pretty cool, but it's not something that I consider like mind-blowing. I got defeated. I've just been here for half a minute, but I'm defeated. I just want you guys to see the brightness levels. This is with HDR on. And at 70% brightness with no light sources on the monitor, I have no real issue. I might bump it up to 85. I feel like 85 is pretty good. Check out this HDR calibration in Overwatch. This is calibrated 240 hertz HDR on, G-Sync on. It also has a plethora of OLED saving features built into the monitor, including image cleaning, pixel refresh.
Static images are images containing objects or information that are constantly visible in a fixed position on the screen, such as desktop, fixed windows, Pornhub, fixed icons on a game console, fixed menu on the top, etc., etc. You get burn-in. So what we do to prevent it, or what, excuse me, not what I do, what LG does, is screen move. There are actually 4 modes to screen move, and I have no idea what they are, and I don't know if anyone does. If somebody does, please leave it in the comments. I think the hypothesis is mode 4 moves the screen more often, so you'll see little tiny movements. It's almost as if all the pixels will shift. They just move a tiny bit, enough to make you wonder if you're having an acid flashback. Screensaver is nice because it has it on its own as opposed to having the one in Windows, which I also have. And then image cleaning will do it every 4 hours when you turn it off. And it does take 10 minutes or so you might have to go get a snack. And then pixel cleaning is much more serious. It's after 500 hours of use.
But it should come with a information little sheet that says, get a black desktop. You know, take the desktop icons off, hide the taskbar. You know, if you leave the house, turn it off. If you start tripping, call your therapist. And on that note, we're gonna move to the cons. The fear of burn-in is petrifying, and I believe somebody said it, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. Somebody very smart said that. And I fear my OLED burning in and having to take my $1,000 monitor, throw it into the trash receptacle. We don't want that. Unfortunately, the warranty is not great. Now, somebody commented on the last video saying that they had changed the warranty to 2 years with burn-in protection. So I called. I wanted to get the information direct from the source. I literally can't make this up. Do you guys hear this sound? This is the sound I get when I call LG to verify the warranty. This is an alien mothership.
And actually, yes, there is a 2-year warranty for the monitor itself.
Okay.
However, the information about the image burn is not correct. That's not accurate because it is not part of our warranty in this monitor. Yep, in monitor rather.
Okay, so you're saying that even if I use the monitor totally correctly, and I use all of the, you know, the pixel refresher and the image cleanup and everything, and I still have burn-in, even though I'm using, you know, every protective measure possible, it's not covered no matter what. I can't get it repaired or replaced?
Because it's just manufacturing defect that is covered by our warranty. So it's just for labor and parts. So if it's a image burn, it's not part of our warranty. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for being Zorz. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I called 3 times, spoke to 3 different representatives just for us. One of them said, if you can prove that the burn-in happened that wasn't your fault, we might consider repairing or replacing. The other person said what you heard, which is nada. You get nothing. Zilch. You're screwed. That's a big f***ing problem. What it gives you is not peace of mind, but giving a LG representative a piece of your mind when the thing burns in. At some point, you're going to die. And at some point, your OLED's going to burn in. And that's just something you have to be aware of, because the resale value will not be very good unless someone plays the game that you're playing that the HUD is permanently on. I went to go get some mac and cheese. I realized I hadn't turned it off. I started flipping out. You should have seen. I pushed this little old lady right onto the floor to get in front of her so I could pay for my mac and cheese, get home, turn my OLED off, and protect it. We have to talk about TPC, which is not a new STD. What is TPC, you might ask? Temporal Peak Luminance Control. The image retention saving feature that detects static content on the screen, and unless there is a regular but fairly small change in the APL, the pixels are dimmed in brightness to help try and avoid image retention problems. Yeah. As you're maneuvering on the desktop and you're reading articles, you'll find that depending on what's on the screen, it's going to get dimmer and brighter. And turning off the energy saving power mode does not turn it off completely. It minimizes it, but it's still there. And for someone like me with a little bit of OCD, it does actually bother me, because I'm like, whoa, now my eyes got to adjust. Whoa, you got dimmer. You're getting brighter. You're getting dimmer. It's like dating a girl with multiple personality disorder, but not in the fun way. Now, I hear there's a way to turn it off in the service menus, but I don't know how to get in the service menus. Plus, if you do, it actually does stuff, so it will increase the risk of image burn-in, but you get to have the consistency of not feeling like you're on fucking drugs. Whoa, bro. Did that shit get brighter, bro? It actually did. You're not high. The brightness. Now, for me personally, with my sensitive eyes, because I'm a sensitive man, it doesn't bother me horrifically.
When there's no other light source, it kind of feels a little bit dark, but I'm not even on full brightness.
I wish the SDR was a little bit brighter, especially given the TPC, which causes the white screens with the black text to get dimmer. I'd like to have it starting off from a brighter point. There is a designated reader mode that makes the screen kind of yellow, so you don't have that dimming effect and you can get an easier time reading. But why do I need a button on a remote to read something on the internet? The HDR is fine. I'm not labeling this a con because it works well, but to me, I just didn't find it groundbreaking or game changing. From what I understand, if you leave HDR on all the time, you're increasing the risk of burn-in, which is something we don't want to do. The matte finish. Boy, oh boy. When I first set it up, I remember thinking there's like some grainy thing going on. And as I was playing with lights on in-game, you don't notice it. But in light screens and with desktop browsing, I always felt like I wanted to take a microfiber cloth and clean it, almost as if it had smeared, almost a grainy, greasy thing. Because why is there grain on the screen? I said to prevent reflection of light. And it does do that very well. It's the best non-reflective coating I've ever seen on any monitor. It's definitely a trade-off.
I have a gigantic, horrible light right above me to the right. I feel like I'm being interrogated by the FBI. Is the OLED good? Tell us, son.
Your wife might come with a flashlight and say, do the dishes. And you can say, you know what? I don't need to pay attention to you because I have a matte coating. In game, not that big a deal. In web browsing, with the white screen, and then it goes down in brightness, it's constraining it. If you're working out all the time, you're eating f***ing leaves and vegetables, you got a banging body, you gotta shake what your mama gave you, gotta let your hair down. And the matte coating does prevent the magnificence of being fully realized. How has no one talked about this bar? This bar right here, do you see this? Whose f***ing bright idea was it to put a metallic shiny mirror finish bar right under the monitor so it can reflect every RGB in your house? It's driving me a little bit nuts. As you're typing or there's a light reflecting on the bottom of your screen. Why?
This is what my brain sees, like, ah!
If I was gonna keep this thing, I would literally take a black piece of electrical tape and tape that motherfucker up. It prevents the cleanliness of the entire thing. I don't have the ability to test color levels, but my friend Kyle does. And he tested the shit out of them. And it's not professional level color quality. If you're just a regular guy watching your videos, you know, you're obsessed with Zorz gaming, you're fine. You don't need the color accuracy of an elite Disney content creator who needs clarity of colors that are so accurate, they're as accurate as a telemarketer's intentions. Another con, the remote. They couldn't bother to put a charging thing here. I gotta have a battery. Not only do I gotta have a battery, I gotta have a special screw head that you screw into here, and it feels like you're playing a game. First you gotta get the red key, the silver key, get the silver key, and you unlock it, and then bam, you gotta put a battery in it. It only comes with one, so battery breaks, you gotta order one. Lose the thing, kiss your ass goodbye. God damn it, Larry, where's the remote? If you're a console player, this thing's way overkill. I mean, you're probably not even looking at this if you're a console player, but if you are, you don't need the 240 hertz, and you're going way overboard, so it doesn't really hit the console market either. The Dell P1130 Sony Trinitron CRT monitor. I heard the OLED was the next CRT. Is that the truth? We're gonna fuck around, and we're about to find out. So we started Valorant, right? Bam, there it is. See that? See that? It says current resolution is 4K, recommended resolution is 1440. So now if I go Alt Tab out the game, and I go to display settings, and you can see it's in 4K active signal resolution. Okay, so that's a problem. Now if I go here and I fix it, like, yo bro, enhance your comm, and then you just keep changes. Now we're back in business. But why? Why must I do that? Now, I have not heard this happening to everybody. It makes me think there's some kind of firmware upgrade that they did. It's probably a minor, simple thing in the driver. Check this out. We're gonna go open up Crew. That's the Custom Resolution Utility by Dyac. This thing is old. Toasty's an OG in this world. Now, what I did here was, somebody told me to delete, well, don't delete the whole thing, but on the TV resolutions, I tried this on DisplayPort, and it did not work, okay? The bug is, for some reason, the monitor thinks it's a 4K monitor. Maybe, you know, it didn't get enough love as a kid, wants to be a 4K monitor. So the proposed solution is to delete all the 4K resolutions in the TV resolution, because that is what's somehow causing this problem. I've been doing this testing now way too fucking long, and I'm starting to want to throw this whole damn monitor against the wall. I did DisplayPort 8-bit, 10-bit, and 12-bit. At 12 bits, it goes over the DisplayPort 1.4 maximum bandwidth, thereby engaging the DSC. The DSC supposedly is lagless, but in my mind and in my eyes, I was perceiving input lag. DisplayPort, the input lag feels not terrible, but also not magnificent. Now, this is HDMI. This is 12-bit color, and it looks amazing. On top of that, the input lag is significantly less than DisplayPort at 12-bit color. That was one of the things I was feeling the whole time I was testing the monitor. It was on DisplayPort at 12-bit color. With this finding, I have to say, this does change my opinion on the input lag. So that does make it a lot less disappointing. But you have to, if you want 12-bit color, which is absolutely astonishingly gorgeous, you're just going to have to understand this, how incredible that is. And you don't want to have input lag, you need to enable HDMI 2.1. I can guarantee you that this is way less input lag than DisplayPort at 12-bit. I want the whale to test this shit for me with his German engineering abilities, but I'm certain that this is the case. I'm triple killing a bot, feeling good about myself. I'm gonna show you another little trick I did. I'm gonna do some other cool shit where I'm gonna enable Fast V Active, which is also known as Quick Frame Transport. This is supposed to make the input lag even less. Then auto low latency mode is another thing that makes the input lag even less. So this is going to potentially give us even better input lag. Now we're going to restart it. That engages our settings. I couldn't find documentation as far as how much NVIDIA, the 4090 takes advantage of those two things that HDMI 2.1 offers, which is the quick frame transport and the auto low latency mode. They call it V-Active Fast on the, yeah. Okay, this is faster. That's, folks, this is real. I did it. I've solved the fucking equation. Holy shit. I don't have the tools to measure that. I can't tell you exactly. I don't have a 1,000 picture camera. I can tell you with the heart, mind, soul, and arthritic hands, my feelings of the input lag.
Input lag might even still be a little bit worse on the OLED.
Now, a lot of people are equating response time with motion blur as if they're the same thing, and they're not the same thing. Response time is what's bringing the clarity of the image and the lack of ghosting. But motion blur, which is called persistence blur, is actually affected by other factors. Compared to any 240 or 360 monitor, the motion blur on the LG is actually better. So from a grand scheme of things, it's got excellent lack of motion blur, persistence blur. But when you compare it to monitors that specifically do that, right, like Pure XP from ViewSonic or Dyac from Zowie, it gets straight shit on, and it is noticeable. If you want to learn more about this, go check out blurbusters.com. It explains everything in maximum detail, way more than I ever could.
There is a minor blur that's very hard to describe. So we're still not in CRT land just yet. Now this is the Samsung G7 motion blur reduction, not the Dyac. We're getting to that next. But I can tell you right now that this is definitely blurrier than the OLED.
With motion blur reduction on.
The motion blur is so much better on the Dyac. This is big. This is a big difference here, folks. I hate to report it. This also shows that the Samsung motion blur is not that great.
Unless you're a professional Valorant Counter-Strike player that needs a lack of motion blur, or you're just bothered visually by motion blur, you probably are gonna think it has pretty good motion blur. But I have to mention it from my perspective, from the hardcore competitive perspective, from the Counter-Strike perspective, because that's where I was born and raised, in Counter-Strike, motherfucker. Why didn't they just put in black frame insertion, or strobing as it's called, and just make the fucking best monitor ever? Why? Probably because black frame insertion lowers your brightness by a lot.
That's max brightness right there, versus 90. I mean, they look similar around 70, but even then, it's even less than that. It's like 60. So 60 on the OLED is about the same brightness as 100.
To have something already that's not super bright go down half, they probably figured, who the f wants this? The thing is, I want it. And I would have made all of the conditions in the room able so I could see the monitor even at half brightness to get black frame insertion. The reason why I'm being so harsh on the monitor is because it's so good. It's like getting that perfect burger. Okay, the burger comes out, it's delicious. It's medium rare, it's Wagyu beef. But that lettuce is wilted. Yo, bro, why'd you put this lettuce in here? Get the new lettuce. Something that could have been perfect is now not. And that's why I'm being so harsh on it, because it's so damn good. And it's $1,000. Now, we all know that size is not everything, but when you're used to a 32, a 27 feels a little small. It doesn't give you that same immersive effect.
A lot of people do actually prefer the higher pixels per inch, but other people prefer the raw power of size.
Some people care about the best visuals possible. They want the fastest visuals, the most crisp, the most clear, the most clarity, which comes with the OLED, and the lack of response time, and it's absolutely stunning. Other people want the absolute lowest input lag. They don't care about motion blur. They want the 360 hertz, 1 millisecond input lag. Other people are motion blur fanatics. They want the Dyac. They want the Pure XP. They want to feel like it's a CRT. Unfortunately, we can't have it all just yet, folks. I want to tell you that if this thing was 32 inches, okay, it had a great black frame insertion, so the blur was on par with a 240 Dyac, I'd say go get it. In fact, I'd pay $1,500 for what I'm talking about, because then you have the best of everything. Let the burn-in be damned. But as of now, it's not the case. Now, if you're going to go for gorgeous visuals, I got a feeling the Alienware is going to beat it. Bigger, brighter, stronger, faster, smarter. What did Kanye say? And then if you try and get serious on a motherfucker, you got the XL2566K 360 Dyac Plus, which is going to be here on Friday. This is kind of like the jack of all trades. It does everything pretty well. It's got damn good motion blur compared to other 240s. It's prettier than all of them. It's a decent size. It does everything pretty well, but you have to choose. Do you want to specialize? So we're going to check out both those monitors. Okay, we're going to find out. Do you want to go pretty, the Alienware? We want to get as serious as Denzel in Book of Eli with the 2566K. Stay tuned, folks. A lot to talk about, a lot to contemplate. We need to work together as a team to stay Zorz. Join the Zorz Nation now by clicking subscribe. Cursed be the ground for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we are taken, for the dust we are, and to the dust we shall return.